The #1 recipient of campaign donations, second largest recipient in donations of campaign money from hedge funds.
Not an argument. It's like two people are playing an excellent tennis match and then someone just runs in naked with fireworks tied to their ass doing cartwheels.
Ever notice that the government never seems to have the budget for things Americans really need? Free public college? Whoa, buddy, that would really increase the deficit. Universal health care? Nah, too expensive.
Well, I think it is an important question to ask, how much would Medicare for All cost? According to the Mercator Institute, it would be $32 trillion over 10 years, which for those who are bad at math, that's $3.2 trillion a year. And for everybody screaming, oh, but the Koch brothers, right-wing conspiracy. Not only did the Mercator Institute find that to be the case, the Urbane Institute, which is extension of the Tax Policy Center, a left-wing think tank, found virtually the same thing. So remember, when Anna talks about Medicare for All and the cost, she's talking about $32 trillion over 10 years.
Money isn't real, George. Doesn't matter.
In fact, every time a progressive candidate like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez brings up Medicare for all we ever hear from opponents are disingenuous questions like, what about the deficit and how would we pay for that? But they also tend to be the very people who have no problem spending a fortune in taxpayer money to make their donors happy.
And this will be the central theme of the video. Donors are paying people money, so they don't want universal health care. This is not a good argument. It just suggests bad intentions and bad character. It doesn't actually make an affirmative case for Medicare for All, and you'll find that nowhere in the video she actually does. Surprise, surprise.
So let's explore these politicians' scamazon wish lists to really understand the priorities of our elected officials. In fact, let's start with Republican Representative Greg Walden from Oregon. That he was one of the most outspoken critics of the Affordable Care Act before it was even passed back in 2009.
This bill that Nancy Pelosi's putting forward to take over health care kills jobs, hurts small business, and hurts this country.
Well, he was 100% right. What thing there did he say that was untrue?
If you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your health care plan, you can keep your health care plan.
While Paul Ryan thinks it's a good idea to cut funding for Medicare, which provides health care to the elderly and disabled, he has no problem fulfilling orders in his scamazon wish list, which of course includes tax cuts for the wealthy.
I'm so tired of this left-wing talking point. It is so much propaganda, you can't even believe it. Analysis from the, again, Tax Policy Center found that 80% of taxpayers are going to get a tax cut under the new GOP bill. Only 5% will see a tax hike of more than $10. Yeah, that's not just tax cuts for the wealthy, that's tax cuts for everybody. And beyond that, the bottom 80% will actually see their share of the taxes cut, and the top 1%'s share of the taxes will actually rise. So it's, in fact, the exact opposite of
tax cuts for the wealthy.
You are fake news.
Ryan accomplished his tax cut goals under the Trump administration. The price tag? Only an additional $1.9 trillion in the deficits in the next decade. Oh yeah, and remember when Ryan pretended to care about balancing the budget?
Yeah, I wish he still did too, but this is not a good line of attack for someone who backed President Obama, who literally doubled the debt in 8 years to the tune of $10 trillion added.
Finally, Senator Ted Cruz. What's on Cruz's scamazon wish list? I mean, other than getting constantly humiliated by Trump insulting his wife and father, defense spending. Back in 2016, he proposed a massive increase in military spending that would cost an additional $140 billion a year. Yeah, that's a lot of money, right?
Well, Anna, we did the math earlier. His adds $140 billion. Medicare for All adds 3.2 trillion. So is your argument his is too much money? So what about yours?
Cruz wanted 50,000 more Army soldiers, 75 new Navy warships, and nearly 500 additional Air Force planes. His proposal was so outrageously expensive and unnecessary that Benjamin Friedman from the Libertarian Cato Institute said Cruz's plan certainly doesn't seem particularly informed by political realities. Again, that was from the Cato Institute.
Again, Anna, his is 140 billion a year. Yours is 3 trillion. If his is out of the realm of political possibility, then what's that say about a Medicare for All plan?
Not to worry, though. Cruz ended up getting what he wanted 2 years later. Trump just signed the National Defense Authorization Act to the tune of $717 billion. That's for 1 year. The last time Obama signed the NDAA for 2016, the military budget was $580 billion. Just remember that these increases in military spending are less about keeping you safe and more about fattening the profits for private contractors like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman.
Say what you want about contracts fattening people's pockets, but considering what our foreign policy looked like under Obama, where ISIS grew massively, doubling the land it controlled, and Obama kind of cucking on them. And then if you compare that to what Trump has done with the increased budget, utterly kicking ISIS's teeth in, you know what? I say fattening Lockheed Martin's pockets or not, it's money well spent.
Your game is through, 'cause now you have to answer to America. Fuck yeah!
Yeah. And even if we gave the government the benefit of the doubt and bought into the lies that this defense spending was to keep us safe, what good does it do when we're dying because of unaffordable health care in our own country? Just something to think about.
Another thing to think about, not only has it been shown that Medicaid patients have worse access and outcomes than private insurance, it's also been shown that Medicaid has no significant effect on the health outcomes of people with it versus those who are completely uninsured. So tell me about responsible spending when you want to flush $3 trillion down the toilet on a program that won't have any significant effect over no insurance.
The #1 priority for our lawmakers should be to make sure Americans live happy, healthy, and prosperous lives. If we're the richest country in the world, we shouldn't be the only developed country that doesn't offer universal health care.
That's always an interesting argument when the left makes it. We're the only country that doesn't offer universal health care. Well, Anna, we're also one of the very few countries that allows elective abortions after 20 weeks. Do you think we should follow Western Europe along that policy line and ban abortions after 20 weeks? Is that something the left wants to get on board with, or should we just follow the leader in the cases where the policy positions line up properly? And no, Anna, it is not the government's job to provide you with a happy, healthy, prosperous life. That's your responsibility. The government's job is only to protect your ability to try and achieve that for yourself. You're not entitled to health, happiness, or prosperity. You have to earn it.
You're just entitled. Mommy and daddy have been spoiling you, and now you think the world owes you something.
But that's the big difference between the left and the right. The right believes you have to earn what you have in this life. The left just wants someone who's actually earned it to give it to them. We are the Republic's walls. Come and take it.